Everyone thinks cheating breaks you. That's a lie. What breaks you is realizing your husband didn't betray you impulsively. He replaced you methodically, with your best friend, the one you've known since school. And the worst part? He thought you'd disappear quietly. He was wrong. I was always told I was too much, too loud, too emotional, too colorful, too alive. My laugh filled rooms before my body did. My thoughts never lined up neatly. They spilled, collided, demanded space. I loved chaos because chaos felt honest. Messy desks, half-finished ideas, coffee cups everywhere. Life, visible and loud. He didn't live like that. He lived in straight lines, muted colors, clean surfaces, silence that felt expensive. When I entered his world, I felt like a stain on white fabric. And instead of asking why his world needed to stay untouched, I started shrinking myself to fit inside it. That's the first hook you should notice. I didn't disappear overnight. I edited myself slowly. People think control looks like shouting. It doesn't. Control looks like calm suggestions, like raised eyebrows, like pauses that make you apologize without knowing why. I thought I was being loved. I was being reduced. And the worst part? I thanked him for it. I met him when my life was loud and unstable and full of motion. He felt like an anchor, solid, reliable, someone who would hold everything still while I caught my breath. That's how it always starts, doesn't it? You mistake stillness for safety. He spoke softly, carefully, as if every word had been approved in advance. He listened without interrupting, which I later realized wasn't empathy, it was observation. He watched me the way accountants watch numbers. He loved saying things like, "I just want what's best for you." That sentence should come with a warning label. At first, I loved the contrast, my chaos, his order, my emotion, his logic. I thought we balanced each other. What I didn't see was that balance only works when both sides are allowed to exist. He never asked me to change directly. He just rewarded me when I was quieter. And I learned very quickly what version of me earned his approval. Relationships don't collapse. They compress. At first, it was small things. Do you really need to post that? Maybe don't say it like that. People might misunderstand you. Translation: be smaller. I stopped wearing bright colors because he said they were distracting. I stopped telling stories the long way because he preferred efficiency. I stopped reacting because he found emotional responses exhausting. And here's the hook. Every time I adjusted, he praised me. You've grown so much. You're calmer now. I'm proud of you. I mistook erasure for maturity. Meanwhile, my best friend, the one I'd known since school, stayed close. She knew the old me, the loud me, the version I was slowly burying. I trusted her because history feels like proof. That was my second mistake. Because while I was disappearing, she was watching, learning the rules, memorizing the tone, practicing how to sound acceptable in his world. I didn't discover the affair through lipstick or messages or confessions. I discovered it through repetition. She started using his phrases, his pauses, his way of correcting people gently while still humiliating them. That's when my body reacted before my mind did. A tightness, a pressure behind the eyes. Something wrong, but unnamed. Then came the obvious signs. Late nights, closed screens, excuses that sounded rehearsed. And finally, the moment meant to break me. I walked in on them. People expect screaming to be the end of the story. It wasn't. I screamed, yes, I broke. But I also saw something clearly for the first time. They weren't hiding because they loved each other. They were hiding because they thought I was manageable. That realization didn't weaken me, it focused me. Pain doesn't always make you collapse. Sometimes it sharpens you. I cried for exactly one night. One. Then I stopped asking questions. Because answers are useless when patterns are obvious. He didn't beg, he explained. She didn't apologize, she rationalized. That told me everything. Here's the hook most people miss. I didn't want revenge because I was hurt. I wanted revenge because I finally understood the system I had been living inside. He valued control, order, reputation. So that's where I aimed. I didn't confront him again. I collected emails, transactions, policies he quietly violated, decisions he thought no one would ever connect back to him. While they thought I was recovering, I was organizing. Silently, precisely. Chaos can learn structure when it needs to, and I learned very fast. People think revenge is impulsive. It isn't. It's paperwork, timing, witnesses. I waited. Not because I was afraid, but because public truth is dead without an audience. His office loved him, respected him, trusted him. That mattered more to him than love ever did. I scheduled the meeting myself, used his language, followed protocol. When I walked into that room, I wore red, loud, intentional. The color I had stopped wearing for him. You should have seen his face. Confusion first, then irritation, then fear. Because he realized I wasn't emotional. I was prepared. And the moment he opened his mouth to control the narrative, I took it from him, slide by slide, document by document. Silence filled the room, not the comfortable kind, the dangerous kind. I didn't accuse, I demonstrated. That's the difference between drama and destruction. I showed them everything. The financial shortcuts, the policy violations, the conflicts of interest hidden behind friendships. And finally, I named her. Not as a lover, but as a liability he created. Her face went pale. His stayed calm, until it didn't. This is the hook. Control collapses fastest when it's forced to improvise. He tried to speak. They stopped him. For the first time, he wasn't managing the room. I was. I didn't insult him. I didn't cry. I didn't raise my voice. I let facts do what emotions never could. And when I finished, I said only one thing. I just wanted the truth to be organized properly. The room didn't explode after I finished. It deflated. People gathered their pens, their laptops, their polite masks, as if they could pack the moment away like paperwork. No one rushed to comfort anyone. No one wanted to be the first person to touch the wreckage. And that's the thing about public exposure. It doesn't create noise at first. It creates caution. It makes everyone recalculate their distance from you in real time. He tried to keep his face neutral. That beige calm he wore like a suit. But I saw the micro cracks, the stiff jaw, the blink that came too late, the tiny tremor of anger fighting panic. He was searching for a lever, a phrase, a way to reframe what just happened into something manageable. And he couldn't. Because I didn't give him emotion to weaponize. I gave him structure. My friend, the one who had known me since school, who knew my childhood handwriting, my old secrets, the way I cried into my sleeve, stared at me like she was waiting for a confession that would make her feel less guilty. Like if I admitted I was overreacting, she could walk out still believing she wasn't a monster. I didn't give her that either. I walked past them slowly, not with triumph, with precision. Every step felt like reclaiming a stolen inch of space. The elevator mirror showed me in red, loud, unmistakable, and for a second I didn't recognize myself. Then I did. And it felt like breathing after years underwater. People assume the victory is the moment you ruin someone. It's not. The real victory is what happens when you go home and realize you don't have to whisper anymore. The first week, I kept expecting a collapse, a delayed breakdown. That moment where the adrenaline wears off and you become a shaking mess on the kitchen floor. But instead, I felt something sharper than grief. Clarity. Like a curtain had finally been pulled back and the room was ugly, but at least it was lit. I started doing small rebellious things at first, the kind of things he trained me not to do. I played music while I cooked, loud, messy. I sang badly and didn't apologize to the walls. I bought bright flowers and let the petals shed onto the table like evidence that life can be untidy and still beautiful. I wore colors that didn't match. I talked too much in conversations and didn't trim my sentences to fit someone else's comfort. And here's the hook. I realized I wasn't too much. I was just too visible for someone who needed control to feel safe. He didn't want a partner. He wanted a quiet background. He didn't cheat because he fell in love. He cheated because he believed replacement was easier than respect. Because in his mind, people were interchangeable if they behaved correctly. And my friend? She didn't steal him. She volunteered to become the version of me he could manage. That's what makes it disgusting. Not the sex, not the betrayal, but the willingness to erase me and call it love. Some days the anger hit like a flashbulb, sudden, blinding. Other days it was quieter, heavier. But I didn't turn that anger into self-destruction. I used it like fuel. I stopped explaining myself, stopped negotiating my existence, because I wasn't rebuilding a relationship. I was rebuilding the right to take up space. He thought he could replace me quietly. That's the kind of arrogance calm men carry. The belief that if they keep their voice steady, reality will obey them. That if they move discreetly enough, no one will blame them. That women like me, loud, emotional, bright, are easy to dismiss once you label them unstable. He thought the story would be simple. She found out. She cried. She left. He stayed professional. He kept his image. He moved on. He thought I would disappear the way he trained me to, softly, conveniently, like dust wiped off a clean surface. But suppression isn't the same as absence. Suppression is pressure, and pressure doesn't vanish. It builds. It waits. It turns into force. I didn't ruin him because I wanted to be cruel. I ruined him because I refused to be edited out of my own life. And here's the last hook, the one that matters most. My revenge wasn't the documents. It wasn't the meeting. It wasn't watching the room go silent. My revenge was becoming impossible to ignore again. I stopped shrinking, stopped translating my emotions into acceptable language, stopped performing calm so people would take me seriously. I became too much on purpose, and when people asked what happened, I didn't soften it. I didn't dress it up in politeness. I told the truth the way it deserved to be told, clearly, loudly, without apology. He tried to replace me quietly. I made sure my name couldn't be spoken without remembering what he did. And now, when I walk into a room, I don't feel like a stain. I feel like a warning.